Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for the second part of the Making of Amoeba Stone. Today we're sharing memories of not just the finishing of the album, but also the steps that come after that. Reflecting on it now, it's a really interesting process because I just never got round to doing that, and actually looking back at what I've left behind helps me to kind of move forward with new music now. And it's been too long, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into recording again. Thank you so much for sharing all these memories with me. I hope you're going to enjoy it, and see you soon. Really, Dave is the linchpin of us all knowing each other, for sure.
Yeah.
Apart from being a fantastic producer and multi-instrumentalist, I think, Dave, one of your biggest strengths is like how you can bring the right people together on a project. And I didn't know any of these guys before I met you.
In every band I've been in, I've always been the least talented person, but I've always been the person that's able to get the best out of people and sort of just think, if I meet somebody, think, oh, they'd be good for that, and just remember it.
Stop being modest, mate. You're very talented.
Thank you very much. Well, so is everybody on this call, so it's not hard to want to play with all of these people. You know, there's a reason that all of us played together and we all contributed to this record.
Yesterday we worked on Wishful Thinking, which is a song that I've had on the back burner for like 2 years and done nothing with, because I knew that it needed something different, and with me at home just on a guitar and piano, there's only a certain amount of things you can do.
I heard Abby's demo and I thought, if that needs something different, it needs my mate Andy Trill, who's just incredible at guitar and bass, so we got him in for the afternoon.
I had a bit of a revising session today. I just put it on, I haven't really listened to it in ages. And it was like, oh yeah, just trying to remember what I actually did.
Loads and loads and loads of bendy harmonics.
I bring a message from beyond. I'll put you through after the tone.
We were actually working on it in the studio as opposed to it being like, oh, this song's ready, let's record it. It was that song for me was the hardest one to get right on the album, and I tried out loads of stuff on my own before I brought it down to Suffolk. It just wasn't right, and I wanted it to sound weird and ethereal and spooky and electronic and dark, and Andy, I have to say, like, what you brought to that really made it, and also obviously meeting Paul as well, because I wanted it to be a duet. And I think I asked both Dave and Andy if they wanted to sing, and they're like, no.
We were like, no, we can sing, but it has to be someone sexier. So I think that's what we said.
Why the fuck did you ask me?
Well, back those days when you were a bit younger, Paul, you know. So.
Hey, give me one last chance to say it again.
One of my favourite memories was a nod of approval from Mr. Liddell. I'm not sure, but when we were doing it live, I had that funny thing I did with a delay. That
I remember, yeah. Like,
Silence has been more than I can bear. I know that this is not the only world there is, but I can neither see nor hear you there.
As soon as Abby brought this, it was like, finally, I have a purpose for that Liddell.
I didn't know you, Paul, at that point, and Dave played me some of your stuff. I was like, yes, ask him. And then we got a reply saying yes. It's like, awesome.
And I loved you when the memories you made.
to be honest, I was pleased to be asked. I was really excited about doing it. So I just remember coming into the actual studio and it being a lovely environment. Like, this is lovely. This place looks really nice. It's going to be nice. Going in the studio, yes, really cool. Felt like, yes, I've arrived. This is going to be good.
I didn't know how to use half the gear, but I knew how to make a nice atmosphere.
And what were we supposed to do? We were not to know. We thought we lived forever. We thought we would continue just to grow.
say hello. Okay, I'll let him get back on with his work.
I'll let you with the memories you made. Proof or no, did I forget to say I'm proud of you? If it takes away the pain, then give me one last chance to say it.
Abby, do you remember when you came up here to play in Sunderland?
Yeah, so we did like a bit of a gig swap, didn't we? So Paul supported us when we did the album launch, and I went to Roker to do an opening slot for Paul. That was a great night.
You were probably the most popular person amongst the crowd, and everyone was like, wow, she's really good. Yeah.
This is only your imagination calling.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. If anything works better live than it did on the album, it's Return to Oz. And I know when I was trying to record it before I met you guys, that was one where I was just like, I am never going to be able to play this guitar part, and I'm doing 75 takes of this to try and get one take, and I can't do it.
Nice. That's a nice one, yeah. Yeah, put it in again. You've got to do it twice now, so we don't think it was a mistake.
And now that song, it flows off. It's like my fingers are just like, yeah, whatever. And I find it really easy to play. And I mean, I played it so many times on my own that if I can't play it by now, it's a real problem. But yeah, it's whenever I play solo now, that's always in the set. I think it works really nice just on its own.
Abby, thank you so much for coming in. Take it away.
Oh, I was truly made of tin to let no human beings in. It was only ever abstract things that pulled my strings.
Strings is still coming out a little bit.
Strings, is it?
Yeah, abstract strings.
My strings.
Strings, that's how it says strings.
Yeah, but there's a difference between strings and strings.
You want me to say strings?
I don't want you to say strings, but I want
You
it to
are
be...
the biggest hypocrite I've ever heard.
No, I don't want you to say... Well, I also don't want it to be spelled SCH.
But you told me to stop making my diction so perfect, and
Yes.
saying strings is overly pronouncing.
Yeah, yes, but saying strings is the other end of the spectrum, as usual. But yes, it does sound a little bit sound strings.
The pull.
Slightly less Sean Connery, I think. 5% less Sean Connery.
Roses always smell the same by any other name. So tonight I will return to the land of Oz to remind myself of who I was.
I like it even more with the Choir of Angels when you did it with a band.
1, 2, 3, go.
I will return the land of Oz. Remind myself. When you get to Oz, think sad. Yeah, because you'll go down rather than thinking happy and then go no. Because that's what's happening every time. It's a happy note.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
I will return the land of Oz. Remind myself who I was.
Woo!
Dave disappeared down the hole.
The hardest part, I flipping love that song.
That's my
And
second.
It's my second favourite too, actually. If I'm really honest, I think Amoeba Stone and then the hardest part, and they're so vastly different from each other. Those did-ups at the beginning, they feel like arrows nailing it into a bullseye.
doing it live was great. I enjoyed that.
He gave more love than I could need. He gave me truth, the like of which I'd never seen. And he gave me patience, 'cause time is not my friend. And he gave me loyalty until the very end.
That really like visceral kind of urgent. I don't know what the word is.
That's the word, yeah.
It's sparse, but it's heavy and it's soulful and sexy and horrible and great.
Yeah.
But it's my fire he could not feed. And he fed my body, oh, he fed my soul.
I remember giving that song to you, Dave, in its first format where I just recorded vocals and like whatever body percussion I was doing, like stamping and clapping or whatever, and the bass line, and it was all just multiple layers of vocals, and that's often how I write stuff. I'll just sing it and hopefully they'll get what I mean.
I pumped some funk on the bass.
Because I did not learn the lessons from my past. I listened to my head when I should have heard my heart. But that's the trouble, though, and it's the hardest part.
I just went for the huge sound on the drums of hardly any close mics and lots of room, and it just a
Yeah, it's so there's something primal, like that beat, that heavy, slow, solid beat. Yeah, it's just I just love the sound of the hard spot.
very cool.
That's the hardest part. To listen to your heart. That's the hardest part. To listen to your heart. That's the hardest part. Thank you.
And for me, this is perfect. This is a perfect recording gig because I've got somebody who's got the technique to do almost anything with her voice, but then it's saying, right, don't.
In your hands, in your hands.
Don't do that. Don't hold your vibrato on too long. Don't, it's just taking some of the little perfections away to give a more emotional performance.
How can I forget the pain when fragments still remain, splintered deep within my hand?
This sort of singer-songwriter genre that I'm in, it doesn't need that. It needs raw emotion.
And you can have some of it. It can have some of the subtleties that only a really good singer can do. But we just did some vocal takes where your voice cracked on the end of a really quiet note, and it was gorgeous. And we'll keep it.
Actions, I'll display that I chose a better way.
In Your Hands, and that was just going to be an acoustic guitar part that I'd written with my vocal, and didn't really think it needs much more. But then you suggested Nick Zala,
Pedal steel.
and I was like, oh, okay, well let's see what that sounds like. That was entirely your ear.
Yeah, one of my better ideas, I think, to
And
get
you
in.
put in some little ding ding sounds, like a submarine.
Yeah. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, why not?
Well, that's it, innit? It's just taking a song that could be just a standard singer-songwriter thing and just making it a bit more interesting on record. That was the remit, wasn't it?
Wish I Believed in Love I wrote so quickly, and it was the last track to put on the album because I was actually writing a song called Up for Sale because I'd broken up with my ex.
Wish I believed in love.
And I remember calling Dave because I was trying to get this final track, because we had recorded 9 tracks for the album and I just couldn't finish it. It just sounded naff, and I was just going through the motions, and I was just trying to finish a song so I can have a 10th song to put on the album. And I remember sitting at my old computer with my guitar, ringing Dave, going, I can't finish it, I don't know what I'm going to do because we've got a deadline and I can't, this song is not working. I'd left a voicemail because he didn't answer, and by the time Dave got back to me, I'd written Wish I Believed in Love, because I was just, it was a totally different song.
You get what you're given, not what you have earned.
But I was fiddling around on the guitar and I'm like, oh, I love that riff. It's just sort of a bit, I don't know, Dave Gilmour-esque as well. And I just kind of, I don't know, I was noodling around and I was like, oh, I like that. And I just started singing over the top of it, and it all just kind of poured out. But essentially, I wrote that in a very, very short amount of time, very, very easily. Nothing like, for example, Amoeba Stone was something that had been going on for a couple of years, and Wishful Thinking was a long process song as well. Wish I Believed in Love was, yeah, by the time Dave got back to me and tried to calm me down because I'd left such a panicked message, I was like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, I've written a new one, it's called Wish I Believed in Love, it's going to be the last track on the album.
Get what you deserve, but that's not what I have learned.
Andy recording the bass part for Wish I Believed in Love, and he, the ending, the song finished and Andy was still noodling. I was like, Andy, you can stop now, we've stopped recording. But that became the ending for Wish I Believed in Love. Your bass part on that is the last thing people hear at the end of the album, is you dreamily kind of
disappearing off into the sunset with a bass strapped over my shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really lovely. I don't think Andy even knew we were recording him or something. It was just kind of messing around, but you were recording, thankfully. Bit of bloody tune up then, ain't you? What do you reckon, David Boone?
They're all out of tune, listen. Reckless. Right.
He's still going. He's still going. Andy, the song finished about a minute ago. I can go home now feeling confident that it's going in the right direction and it'll get done in the right way, and to stop worrying about the time issue, because I get a lot of emails from people saying, when's the album ready? You've been talking about it for ages, and I feel that really quite deeply, and it makes me be like, oh my god, I've got it, and then I panic and then sometimes make the wrong decisions, and I've just got to think, do you know what, it's going to take as long as it takes to make a great album. I won't compromise on quality. I feel like this time I need to get everything right, and I will do my best along with you to
Yes.
to do that. The final day of mixing,
Yes.
we pretty much finished. So it's all the really technical stuff about levels and final reverbs and effects and
Tweaks.
tweaks. So yeah, we've done all the recording. Everything's there. And it's the most exciting stage, I suppose. Really, the bit where you're trying to listen as somebody from the audience or somebody who's bought the CD and or downloaded music, and sitting from their point of view and thinking, what do we need to change to make this record sound like an actual record that will be played alongside other artists? And so
It's
we're
fun.
there.
It's exciting.
It is.
Yes, we've got to get it finished today.
I know. I think when you're making an album, you're concentrating so much on the music that you forget that at the end of the process you need to master it, and you need to do the duplication and the artwork and getting it out to the public, and it's also a really exciting part of the process, but it's very, very different to the creative aspect. Today I'm here at Fairview Studios in Hull, where I'm mastering my album. I think in retrospect I didn't have time to reflect on actually making the album, because I just got thrown straight into the promotion side of things. Say hello, John.
Hello, Abby.
This is my favourite piece of kit here. What does this do, John?
It's a stereo width and phase meter.
There you go. So pretty. And so after I actually got the final masters of the album, which was a very exciting day, I launched into like a 3-month campaign of, you know, getting the album reviewed in all the sort of national publications, and I'm really pleased with how that went because I got some really great reviews that I'm really proud of, and I was so pleased that people liked it as much as I did, and that people could see the journey that I'd been on since my second album as well, and where my songwriting and my life experience and all sort of came into play and made me who I was, you know, at that point in time. And I do think an album is always a snapshot of your life at the time you're living and writing it. So I was really pleased with how it was received.
I think it's been cool.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you do this all the time with other artists, but I've never worked with a producer before, and it's been really enlightening actually, and I've loved the sort of rapport that I've had with all the musicians and everything, and it's just been so nice to put your trust in somebody else and not be let down actually. That's really invaluable, so yeah, that's the best thing for me.
Yeah. Apart from that, the main issues have been hiding the biscuits from Abby.
Shut up! You are the one that brought all the biscuits out. I have been very well behaved. This is David's biscuit tin.
Yeah, that was full on Thursday.
That is such a lie. That is such a lie. I did not eat all the biscuits.
I think apart from that, isn't it? It's mainly, I suppose, but apart from that, it's been a pleasure, hasn't it? I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I listened back to the studio album, and every song came, I was like, "Oh, this sounds good, doesn't it?" Oh, I was quite surprised because, of course, as a musician or as a songwriter or as a producer, you always think that what you're doing now is the best thing you're doing. I thought, oh, it was a few years ago, you know, and I was less experienced as a producer then and stuff. But I was listening back to it thinking, as soon as that feedback guitar came in on Amoeba Stone, I was like, yes, this is good, this is good.
And I really wanted quite a lot of variation on the album, but without doing what I had done on my previous 2 albums, where it was every song was so different, it was almost
incoherent.
Incoherent.
Yeah.
And I thought, how do I get... Well, you were instrumental in this, excuse the pun, in terms of like trying out loads of stuff, but still making it fit the genre that we talked about. And, you know, we talked so much about style, and it was kind of trying to capture that without like going off into too many different genres. And I think just the little touches we did were those subtle touches really made every song have their own personality. Like, you know, the slide guitar that Nick Zala played, the Nashville tune guitar that Tristan played, and Andy's dirty electric funk, and then the twinkly sound of Protection, and then the choir. Got so much stuff going on, but all within like the style that we talked about, which is such an achievement, I think. And then we just had gigs. We did 2 album launches in Lincoln and Grantham. And then I just went on a huge tour. Some of it was solo, some of it as a duo with Dave. I played with Tristan as well, a few gigs, and sometimes we did trio or full band gigs at various festivals and things. So there was a lot of great memories of us just playing the songs live on stage and really living them and bringing them to life, and changing the arrangements as well, dependent on, you know, who was playing. And after a year of playing the songs all over the UK, Dave suggested we make a live album actually, and I had never done that before, and I kind of figured, well, hey, why not? And I thought it would be really nice to kind of go back to the same venue that we did the first launch at, and we brought in a whole load of equipment so that we could make a live album of that show. And yeah, that became, you know, another process in itself, you know, having a 3rd studio album of original material, and then a live album that sort of featured I guess the best songs from all 3 albums as I was playing them at the time. And that gave me my 4th album.
And then I was listening to the live album and listened to that as well, the feedback guitar, and then Kilby brought the bass in with a fade in on there. I was like, it's like, oh my God, this was so cool, wasn't it? You know, we really did put an effort in with everything. It is bloody brilliant.
Kilby, although you weren't part of the album, you were very definitely part of the gigs.
I absolutely loved playing the gigs. I was so nervous, but absolutely loved it.
Why did you feel nervous about it?
I just didn't want to muck it up. It was such an important thing for Abby, in a nice way. I mean, the pressure was good because it just totally focused me. And it was only, I think perhaps it was only afterwards when I watched like the live video and listened to the recording and went, wow, recreated what Andy did on the record. You know, hopefully did him proud as well. But my abiding memory, and I said this to Abby recently, was when that choir was behind us singing. You know, I was standing right in front of that choir and all those voices, and I literally had goosebumps on my arms. Yeah, it was just an incredible experience. Really, really proud of it. So
I think it's a good sign when you're, like you said, most of the time you're nervous just because you want to do a good job, and that's surely why, you know, why we do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I think is you do it, and you don't want to let anybody down. You want to create something that's magical, where everybody you're all pulling in the same direction, and that's when you get a magical noise coming out of a bunch of people. You've all got a vested interest in it, and you all play together, and you know you have a chemistry on stage. You
can't put a price on like people actually caring about the song and trying to make it the best it can be, as opposed to just doing a job. And that again was just one of the greatest things about working with you lot. Is I think it shows in the album. You're right, Dave. It still stands up. I'm really, really proud of it. And the fact that everyone just got on after the work was done, we could all hang out, and you know we all got on really, really well. So, and I think it's testament to the fact that 7 years later we're all on a Zoom call, like really pleased to see each other. And the quality of the product at the end was amazing. And that, like, I couldn't have asked for any of it to go any better, really. So thank you all for helping me make it the best album I've made so far.
Yeah.
Like the recording process of that album at that time with you guys, it was special. Yeah, a lifetime memory. I think that it's never gonna leave me.
Really lovely to talk to you.
And you, mate?
Really, really nice to see you. Thanks very much
Lovely.
for being here.
Great,
Right, cheers,
that's
Paul.
great. Cheers, Paul.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
Kilby.
Lovely to see you. Bye.
Yeah.
It was an amazing time, but it is time for new music now. And I do believe that you do need to take some time out of the constantly creating process in order to actually live a life that you can then write about. And I have certainly been doing that for the last few years. So I'm really pleased with what's coming. It's very, very different. So just really looking forward to creating the new sound and the new music and getting that out. And touring again and seeing what's on the other side of COVID-19, and fingers crossed there will be venues to play and tours to be had, and if there are, I will be there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye. The only clear sentences that Andy says are things like when you used to come up to my ear and go, "Oh, you smell different when you're awake." Basically the line I got before every gig. But yeah, aside from that, he's unintelligible most of the time.
Why did I not know that before that?
It's the thing I do.
Okay.
Wait for somebody to drop off.
I'm looking at you in a whole new light, mate.
Nobody's space.
Somebody actually found me accidentally through listening to your stuff recently.
Huh.
That was quite a nice experience. I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
I drink beers in this barber shop near me. They've got a little bar, and I think he just knows there's some dude that gets me head polished in there. Like he said, "Oh, I heard you on this girl's album." Yeah. So yeah, it's weird how it spreads. Like.
Well, Davey stayed at my house because I remember Yeah, I remember which rooms I put you in, and poor Kilby got left on the sofa with a giant winter quilt, like a 15 tog winter quilt. And I remember the morning he was like, I was sweating all night, I was absolutely boiling. Sorry about my Australian accent, it's terrible.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go!
I will return.
Stop! You're all a bunch of crazy fools. Do it again.
No, you.
And again. Have you got your notes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see what I have to deal with?